Hello Internet, it is Alex and Lewie from Barefaced, and we are doing an AlNiCo thing today.
We are.
So, we have here a V30 for reference. This is in our Reformer 112. We then have the AlNiCo Cream, the Gold, and the Blue. The Blue's in our Usurper 112 wide, so that's the wide version of R12, and these are the Reformers, the standard width one. So that's basically for if your head's too wide to look good on one of those. We do a wider version. Slightly deeper in the lows.
Ever so slightly.
It's not a big difference, so we felt it was fine for kind of this sort of A/B testing.
Yeah.
And Egnater Tweaker head, which we re-Tolex to match ours, so these are the green and black Tolexes. And Lewie today is playing a
Silver Sky SE PRS.
Yeah. How long have you had that then?
Month? Not even
Oh
that.
right, it's really new to you.
It's new, yeah.
Really, really new.
Still settling into it.
So what's that? This is an old school sort of Strat.
It's not too far away from my Strat. I've got 63s in my Strat, and these are like somewhere between a 62 and a 64 sound.
Right.
So they say. So it's kind of
is
mid.
that like a 63 sound then?
Yeah,
Halfway
kind
between
of.
62 and 64.
Kind of, yeah. It's mid scoop, low output kind of Strat sound, I guess.
Yeah, and we've just because Lewie hasn't got his pedal board today, we've just stuck it through my bass pedal board. We're ignoring all the pedals apart from the full tone bass drive on there, just for a bit more dirt as and when
Ever so slightly.
required.
All right.
Right.
So we're on the V30 first. Which
Yes, I shall tell you what we're on using this excellent bit of technology.
Sounds closer to these than I thought it would do, having just had a quick play. Don't know about you.
I don't know if you guys know the history of these, but apparently, so the Blue over here, the Blue is originally a radiogram speaker from the 50s that was then one of the first speakers used in a guitar cab, certainly the first Celestion used in a guitar cab.
Yeah.
The V30 is an attempt in the early 80s or late 70s to make a ceramic speaker that sounded like the AlNiCo Blue, but with a load more power handling. And it does sound quite like it, but also it doesn't. Yeah, sure. So it's, and the Gold is meant to sound like a broken in blue. And the Cream is meant to be a high power blue.
Version, because that's 90 watts.
Yeah. Yeah, so the V30 is a 60 watt speaker, but then these, 15 watts, 50 watts, so Blue's 15.
Yeah.
Gold's 50,
and
the Cream is 90. They've all got 1 3/4 inch voice coils, 1.75 inch voice coils. They've all got the same gap height. They've all got the same magnet weight in the AlNicos. So they're all 100 dB sensitivity. The voice coil is the same size, and the gap height and overhang is the same. So from a motor perspective, in the driver, they are
pretty much the same.
Yeah. So the difference must be, therefore, that they've got different glues in them which can withstand different temperatures. This is my logical conclusion. I'm guessing, as that's a 50s design, it's got some sort of animal glue holding the voice coil together. The Gold might be some sort of PVA or something like that. These are just suppositions, and the Cream to handle 90 watts is an epoxy. And the glues are going to have different stiffnesses, so they're going to change the sound somewhat and change the mass somewhat. The other difference, which is definitely visible, is the surround on the Cream looks completely different to the surround on the Gold, which looks different to the surround on the Blue.
Closer to the Gold, the Blue, which makes sense.
So
but
I think they're excursion limited. I think a lot of the difference in power handling, it may be the voice coil heat. It probably is to a degree. I think that's logical. But the other bit of the power handling is that if it can handle more heat, they've also then made it able to handle more movement, because you make sound by a speaker moving. And the low frequencies on a guitar, because guitars go low, even in E, you've got 82 hertz, which is, I don't think
is it 82?
82.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's that low.
So 440 is that one.
Is that?
That's like
That's that A.
constant pitch A, yeah.
Right.
So it's not that one.
Oh no.
Right.
No, the low A on a bass guitar, 5th fret A, is 55. So the A on that's 110.
Yeah, okay.
So then the next A is 220.
So it's that one.
Yeah, that's
Constant pitch. It's
It's really high.
That is really high.
Yeah, so not many of us can sing as low as a guitar goes.
Yeah.
I can sing quite low, and I
Not.
can just about get to low E.
That is low.
But it's really on the bottom of my range. I can just about squeeze to D, and it's out of tune. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of air movement. You look at the E string on a guitar; it moves a lot. If you look at the E string moving when it's at the same loudness as like your top E, it's moving far more to make the same loudness. So the speaker has to move a lot. So at 90 watts, this has got to move far enough without this crumpling.
Yeah.
And the cones are very light on guitar speakers, so
These
there's a lot
ones
of
are.
flex going on. Anyway, enough talking.
Let's listen to them.
Let's hear them.
What was
So V30 first. I
Yeah.
shall get out of the way and just wave my bit of plywood around whilst turning some switches.
Gold is so nice.
They're very different, aren't they?
They really are, yeah. I'm amazed how different the blue and the gold sound, considering it's only meant to be worn in a little bit.
It is interesting, and it just goes to show that. So the way these speakers are making sound, I might have a bit of speaker kicking around. Here's one.
There's one down there.
Here's something that's obviously been blown at some point. Here's a remnants of, I think, what was a G10 vintage. Yeah, I think that's what it was. It's clearly very knackered. But this bit's in the magnet. When the electricity moves through this, the current creates another magnetic field, and then that interacts with the magnetic field of the permanent magnet that's moving through the pole pieces. That pushes this bit. But because it's moving at high frequencies, and these are quite big and quite flexible, you get things rippling. And if you think about it, if you push a high frequency into something hard, so like if you tap a bit of, say, metal railing, or like a bit of railway line, that high frequency goes shooting along it, and you hear it.
Yeah.
If you tap a plastic ruler,
Yeah.
it doesn't go along it as well.
Right.
Now, if you've been driving, because these are paper, I mean, they're special forms of paper. They're distinctive pulps. You can actually sort of see the patterns of how the pulp's been laid on the back of that.
Yeah, yeah. But it is paper.
Yeah, they're all paper variants generally in guitar speakers. The paper speakers are used in loads of things. Papers are just a really good composite. Just forget that it's paper or cardboard. It's just a great composite for making this out of. If you drive it hard, you soften it up. The cellulose in there, the fibres loosen up.
Okay.
So you end up with the cone actually being softer. So the cone's got more give.
So it won't travel as much?
Well, yeah, basically the sound that goes in gets absorbed and lost as heat, essentially. Tiny, tiny, tiny amounts of heat. Tiny, infinitesimally small. It's not like the heat loss in the voice coil.
Right.
But basically the sound goes in and it sort of gets absorbed. Whilst if it's hard, it vibrates out.
So you're going to get, in musical terms, you're going to get less
top end.
Less top end and volume?
In the top end, you'll have less volume.
So that won't happen in the bottom end?
No, because the softness isn't an issue, because the high frequencies are vibrating fast, and that's where the give is.
What it needs.
When it's vibrating more slowly, it doesn't have the give. I mean, it's like different drum skins. Have you like a really lightweight drum skin, like these typical sort of snare skins.
Yeah.
They're harder, and they transmit more treble through them than like the skins you tend to have on your toms.
Yeah.
Or I remember my drummer at uni, he bought a set and it had those oil damped skins. Have you ever used them?
No.
Oh, it's two skins with a thin layer of oil between them.
Okay.
They give a great sort of produced, recorded studio tone when you're live. They're really boom.
Okay.
They're really self-deadening. Yeah, so it is. So I think the blue is meant to sound like a worn-in
Other way round.
Sorry, the gold is meant to sound like a worn-in blue.
Should we have a listen between just the two of them?
Yeah.
And I'll put a little bit of drive on. That's got more punch and more bite though. It doesn't have the top end, but I'm getting some...
It's got body to it, that gold, don't you think?
And more clarity. Maybe it's a high mid thing. Maybe it's not. Yeah. Maybe you're still getting more. I guess power as well. It is.
I mean, with the amount of power we're using, I mean, it's.
I don't think it'll make much of a difference. I'm definitely hearing. Let's
No.
do that again, but on clean.
There's more mids.
Yeah.
There's more mids from the gold.
I think I like the blue. I mean, it's just personal taste, but yeah. I'm trying to decide what AlNiCo, as I now know it's pronounced, speaker I'm gonna chuck in my cab. So I'm just trying to figure out. But that, yeah, they've clearly done what the science says would happen, though. Like it stands up.
The reassuring thing I will say about this is I shall apologise to YouTube in general, but there's a lot of people talking on YouTube and on podcasts and on social media and whatever, who don't know what they're talking about or know enough of what they're talking about to sound like they would know what they're talking about.
It's true.
But I will tell you if I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll be like, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just gradually learning about this. But some of the stuff I know about, I really do know about.
It's true.
And when you get into the science of this, it does tend to make sense. But beware people who are saying stuff because they've heard other people say it, or beware people who think stuff sounds like it sounds because they've convinced themselves it sounds like that when it doesn't really sound like that.
Oh my god, I've done that so many times. Pedals, amps, pickups.
Yeah.
Guitars. Wow, that's the sound.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
placebo effect is real.
You just think it does sound like that because you...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And humans are really bad for suffering from observer bias and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So hopefully with these videos we can actually get to the nitty gritty of it. And there will be some moments where we go, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
No, yeah, most of the time. I wasn't expecting the gold to sound like it did. Does make sense, but can we go between the gold and the cream?
Yeah. So we're on the gold now.
I'm going to clean this up a little bit. One of those people that says, here's my clean tone, and it's not actually clean.
Feels weightier
Yeah.
and fuller.
Yeah.
The cream, and I noticed when we went from the cream back to the gold,
Yeah.
I felt this bigness to the sound.
Yeah.
But then when we went back, and I was thinking, oh, it's got more mids, and then when we went back to the cream from the gold, I was like, oh no, that's got mids too, they're just in a different place.
And it's more rounded. It feels rounder in a nice way.
You think the cream's more...
Rounder, I think, yeah.
I thought...
What are we on now? Cream.
We are on the cream now.
To the gold.
The cream's...
That's honkier.
Yes.
The honkiness.
Yeah,
It's,
that's got more upper mid, low treble.
It's that thing.
I think that goes higher. I think it's got more air
Right, yeah,
than the gold. I think the gold's warmer.
Yeah. It's really difficult, isn't it? They're all really nice, but in...
We've got an
different
interesting
ways.
thing here, ears-wise.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of decades between us ears-wise, but I think Louis been around loud music more without earplugs.
True.
So
Probably about the same. Actually.
on top end, maybe similar.
Which is really
I am
worrying.
really fastidious. I've actually got earplugs in right now, musicians ones, because I just find I can hear stuff better. As soon as it gets into the like 9500, I just would rather have earplugs in because I get tinnitus really easily. I'm scared of losing my hearing and I play bass too loud. So I do apologise if there's ever anyone in a jam or band with me and they haven't got earplugs in. It's like, I'm sorry.
This is how I play.
Sorry.
All right. Well,
they're cool. Do you want to? Let's do cream versus blue because I think the interweb tells me that the cream and the blue are much more similar than the blue and gold and the cream and the cream and gold. Yeah,
right.
Which kind of makes sense with the broken in sort of thing. So hang on, let me get my magic piece of plywood. So we are currently on the cream.
Yeah. Similar.
They are, aren't they?
They really are.
Sharper.
Yeah, definitely. Honkier in the mid-range. But does still have loads of top end. But it's not sharp.
Yeah.
It's not sharp.
It's not sharp.
It's a rounded top end. That's what in my head, ever since we first played through these, Cream AlNiCo, I just think Beatles. Rickenbacker, jangly, like...
right.
But it's like, the jangle's there, the top end's there, but it's nice and round and warm and...
Yeah.
Sounds like a vintage record to me. That's why I did the... It's just got that sound to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, the blue is, what, they're AC30 speakers, so Brian
yes.
May. It's the Brian May speaker.
Yeah. Problem is, if you want to sound as loud as Brian May, you need a lot of these, because that's a 15 watt speaker.
Yeah.
And okay, 15 watts isn't a lot quieter than 90 watts.
No.
It's like, I don't know, what's that, 6 dB? Hang on, 15, 30... 60, yes, probably with figuring in power compression, it's about 6 dB quieter, which will probably feel slightly more. The cream will go getting on for twice as loud as the blue.
Right.
But it's more that there's not a lot of amps I'd be comfortable with cranking into a single blue.
Well, I mean, the box has got two, the AC30's got two, isn't it? So it is doubled.
Yes, of course. So the AC30's got two, and he uses 3 AC30s.
And he's done something weird to him as well. They're different.
He's got 3 different. Was it you that was reading about this, or someone else? I had a conversation with someone in the last few days.
Yeah, no, not me. He's done something to him.
Oh, it's Al. Okay, so he's got basically a dry and 2 different wet signals.
Okay, right.
That's the Queen sound. There's 2 AC30. So it's 3 AC30s.
That's a lot more than just that.
So he's got 6
and he's
blues.
On pretty much on 10 most of the time.
Yeah.
Plus playing with a sixpence, so that's going to change everything. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how he does that, but yeah. So that will change it.
Yeah.
I'm loving the blue though.
It is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thought we've had, which we'll do in a future video, is what does 2 blues sound like versus 1 cream, or 2 blues versus 1 gold.
Yeah.
Or 2 golds versus 1 cream. So you're trying to sort of roughly match power handling.
That's true. Actually,
I mean, two blues will have a similar max output to 1 cream. 1 cream will need twice as much power to get there because you'll have half the radiating area, so half the efficiency, which is 3 dB less.
There's a lot in this, isn't there? I'm thinking about this. If I'm thinking about adding this to my uprising, my 65 watt speaker is now going to be 30
watt speaker.
total because I'm putting a 15 with it. So there's a lot to think
you've
about.
You've got a Fuchs head, which is how many watts?
21.
So it's fine then.
Yeah, but it already doesn't have too much clean headroom. So is that I'm gonna have to turn the amp up more? Which
no, you won't because they're sensitive. You won't need more because they're quite lower power. You won't need any more power because they're really sensitive. They're all 100 dB speakers, and I think the G12 65 Heritage that you have is also 100 dB sensitivity.
Good.
They're all big, hefty magnets on them.
This is why he's here. I just play.
Good at it though, isn't he? Right.
Cool.
What was I going to say? How dirty have we gone?
Not that dirty.
Right.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's go dirty with the Strat, and then let's go dirty with the Les Pauly thing.
Or should we go into Les Paul now?
No, let's try
Yeah.
dirty. So different.
Yeah, wildly different.
Right.
What on earth is going on?
Okay, so that's definitely got the sharp brightness. That's how I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And then when you went to the gold,
It's fizzier.
and it's so fat. I
Yeah,
thought it
yeah.
sounded amazing for lead.
Yeah, it's heavy on the bottom, but it has this fizzy top.
Yeah.
Which
And then when we went
didn't
to the cream sounded darker than the gold.
100%.
But when it was on clean, the cream sounded brighter than the gold.
Yeah, it's where the mid range is, isn't it? Like you
Yeah,
said
I think
earlier.
that's it.
Must be.
And then, yeah, they basically went, I think, oh,
Yeah.
right, you're going to try the other guitar.
Yeah.
This is really interesting.
So strange, isn't it? Like if you play clean or if you play dirty, you're gonna have to pick a different speaker depending on what you spend most of your time doing.
Or
I don't go that
what
dirty.
matters most to you tonally. I mean, if you want the most awesome lead tone,
Yeah.
then you compromise on the rhythm tone,
Your
I
rhythm
presume,
tone.
because then you're not the focal point.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of do the opposite. So because it depends what kind of music you play.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. And we're going to have to try some chunky rhythm tones, dirty, you know.
Yeah.
We don't have any proper metalers who work here, but we
Right.
will. If you're in Brighton and flexible timings wise and fancy to try some cabs and speakers in exchange for your troubles, and then if you're useful, given having some free gear off us, then
Then
please
come in.
say hello and come in and shred and chug and palm mute and do those things, because
Yeah.
Lewie can fake it and James can fake it, but we'd rather have someone who's not faking it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Alright, blue, start the blue again.
Yeah, right, we're on the gold at the moment, so yeah, let's go to the blue.
Yeah. Just about.
That gold almost makes things sound more fuzzy, the way it seems to scoop out, but then adds this top end.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I said fizzy.
It's like
but
your
fuzzy
overdrive's
is better.
turned into a fuzz almost.
It's a much better way of putting it. Yeah, it is doing that. I don't wonder why that is.
It's got clearly there's a bunch of top end that comes off the gold.
Right.
Here's my guess, right? So we've got the cone, we've got the dust cap in the middle. If you loosen up, right, so the cone has a certain amount of mass, right? Yeah. And flexibility and damping, and what we've ascertained is if you soften up the cone on a blue by breaking it in, and breaking in the surround, because what the surround becomes is like a softer damper, so that all the sound that starts here, rather than reflecting when it gets to here, gets damped, so you actually clean up the sound somewhat.
Sure. Because
you don't have the reflections, interacting. But if you soften up this, then maybe this dust cap gets to move more freely, and the dust cap is also a radiating piece of the cone, and the dust cap is what the highs tend to come off.
Yeah, the top end.
So if the dust cap can move more freely, because it's softened up, then you're going to get more high treble.
And maybe it's like you said earlier, the glue that's going to be having more of an impact when it's dirty.
If that is a hide glue, that does not set hard.
Yeah,
It's
right.
got a bit of give to it.
Yeah.
If that is a more modern glue, that could be setting a lot harder. We know that if that were a hide glue, that's a PVA.
Yes.
A vinyl glue, and that's an epoxy. Here's our guesses.
An educated
They
guess.
get progressively harder.
Yeah.
Stiffer, more rigid. So they're going to transmit sound in a slightly different way.
More top end, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do think I feel that's a lot of dust cap output we're hearing of that, and I think with the clean sound, there just isn't that content.
The movement.
I just don't think clean sounds go as high as dirty sounds. Dirty sounds, you're fizzing and you're adding all these extra harmonics.
Well, I was going to say, it's not that there's more going on top. It's just you're getting more harmonics coming through because of the way the amps saturate them. So
yeah, exactly. So eventually,
it does stack up.
It becomes more and more like pink noise or white noise the harder you distort it.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
when I want to listen to a sound clip to try and get an idea of what a guitar speaker sounds like online, just quickly, because if it's one don't have experience with it, I'll always listen to the distorted sounds.
Yeah,
that tells me the most about the frequency response and the colour to it, rather than the clean sound. It's much harder to tell from a clip because you don't know how the person's playing. Hence the playing and then talking and us actually telling us what we're perceiving from the perspective of someone in the room who's not playing and someone who is actually playing. So I think between us, hopefully we can give you more information than just hearing clips of the same thing. Woo, that's cool.
Yeah, that is wild, isn't it?
Let's just hear the Vintage 30 in comparison, because we haven't done the Vintage 30 with the Les Paul and the... not that it is a real Les Paul.
No,
it's a Larry Carlton. A Sire V7 Larry Carlton. Much cheaper than Les Paul. That's the fire alarm.
Much cheaper, yeah.
Well, I say they're testing it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we don't have to evacuate.
Alright, V30.
Right, and then we better stop because we've been going on for a while. But we're learning things, and hopefully you are too.
Indeed.
Right, V30. Interesting.
Yeah.
The V30 does sound remarkably similar to them, considering how it's a ceramic magnet.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. When you turn over to the blue, I was like, oh, okay. I was expecting a world of difference.
No, it's not that far removed, is it? Particularly with the dirty sounds.
Yeah, totally.
More removed with the clean sounds.
Okay.
The cream and the V30 also. The gold feels the different cab of the four. Because of the speaker.
Because of the fizz.
Yeah, that fizz. And that warmth in the mids.
Yeah.
I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, every
but
time
it's
I turn it
a
on,
different animal.
You smile and I'm not a fan.
Yeah, there we go.
There we are.
I'm a bassist, so I don't count.
Like
right, we're going to stop before we reach half an hour because we've got
That's
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a room mic on there, Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. So you've got an honest sound.
Yeah.
We've been Alex and Louis from Bareface. Tell us what you want to hear more of, and we'll see you next time. Rock on.